Almond is home, not feeling well. Luis Cruz, we haven't heard from. So we have four of us here. And that may be all that we get. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So we don't have quorum.
Well, no, we're also not passing any resolutions or taking any official action.
No resolution tonight?
No, you can feel
You want one?
you can feel somewhat relieved.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to call this meeting to order at 7:06 p.m. My name is Steve Simon. I'm the chair of this committee. Welcome everyone to the Community Board 12 Manhattan Health and Environment Committee meeting of March the 7th, 2024. I'm joined by three of my committee members, my assistant chair, O.C. Kamina, Heidi Guzman, and Jody Herson. And maybe somehow one of our other committee members may suddenly show up. So we have a pretty long agenda as usual. This one may be a little longer than usual. So we're going to begin with a discussion about the new Neighborhood Navigator Outreach Program funded for Washington Heights, Inwood, and other communities in Manhattan by the District Attorney, by District Attorney Bragg's office. And maybe we should begin with a little intro from Jocelyn Manaya, the director of Washington Heights office for the district attorney, who can fill us in on how this all came about.
All my ideas. Should I get up? What do you want me?
Well, Jocelyn, of course, you may want to sit down because I understand you just had a very long trip to get to this meeting. And you're exhausted from having to walk maybe 20 steps over here from your office. So I can understand why you might not be able to stand up, but maybe you can do what you wish. We should be able to hear you.
Okay, so thank you.
And I do appreciate you taking a long trip to get over here.
Thank you, Steve. For you, I crossed the Sahara.
Okay.
So thank you. Good evening, everyone. Like the good chair said, my name is Jocelyn Manaya, and I am the director of the Manhattan District Attorney Washington Heights office. And although it's pretty far, I made it a point to be here tonight with all of you. I'm especially happy because I'm joined by one of my special colleagues, Rocio Santos, who is the director of the new Neighborhood Navigator program. And she is with the bridge. So I'll just give a little background about the award that was granted. So, the district attorney's office, the district attorney, he pledged $9 million for mental health initiatives. 6 million of those were the first phase and was awarded to the bridge. The other 3 million was recently awarded to Fortune Society. So the first part of that award is for our Neighborhood Navigators program, which Rocio will speak about. And then the second part of the grant is for a Court Navigator program. And like it sounds, the Court Navigator program, the Fortune Society will have peers navigator within criminal court in Manhattan, connecting with people right out of arraignments. So the idea is making sure that as people are walking out, they're connected to someone right away. Their immediate needs are assessed. Do you need housing tonight? Are you hungry? Where, what's going on? But also follow them throughout the trajectory of the court case to make sure that they're showing up to court, to make sure that, if they have a mandate, whether it be community service or whatever the mandate may be, that someone is assisting them and keeping track of it, and reminding them and making sure that they're complying, all the while connecting them to resources. So the idea is we don't want this person to come back into the criminal justice system. And I don't want to take too much from what Rocio will be talking about, but we know that we're not going to be able to police our way or prosecute our way out of a lot of the problems that exist today, especially in the area of mental health and homelessness. So if what someone has is an issue where they're hungry, and this is why they're shoplifting or they're stealing, you know, if they're about to lose their home, and this is why they feel like they need to resort to crime to be able to meet their needs, it's just gonna be a revolving door. We know there are a lot of these crimes are misdemeanors, they're not bail eligible, people are going to be in and out within a span of 24 hours. So why do we want them to come back if we don't address what it is that their underlying needed? It has to be addressed, otherwise we're gonna find ourselves in this problem 20 years down the line still. So, you know, I know we hear about a lot of crime going on. It's really a small group of people that are driving the crime numbers throughout the city. But I'll speak about Manhattan. So in order for us, law enforcement, the police, to really concentrate on that small group of people that are driving the violent crime, we need to be able to address the other group of people that are also driving numbers with nonviolent crimes and, you know, addressing those needs. So this is where this came about. And, you know, I, for one, am very happy that the Bridge, which is a very robust, organization, got the grant so that they can, initiate our Neighborhood Navigator program. And with that, I will, introduce, if I may, Steve, Rocio Santos.
Well, before you get there, did you say earlier that this is meant to be a pilot program?
It's not a pilot.
Oh, it's not?
Well, it's a pilot because it's new.
Oh, okay.
But it's hopefully going to be an ongoing program, right?
Okay.
And with real results, with real people. And Rocio will talk more about.
Okay, so it does
Yeah.
not have a specific lifespan of 3 years or 5 years. It's meant to stay indefinitely in the community.
So I will let Rocio handle that part
Okay.
of it as well, because she would know the parameters
Okay,
of the grant, but I just want to really quickly say, for those of you who do not know, of course, I was kidding around with Steve before, we're neighbors to the community board, we're right next door here. This is our second satellite office, our first one is in Harlem, which was established in 1986. So we're the baby of the bunch, we've only been here for 8 years, which to me is crazy that we've already been here for 8 years. Julio was with us for the ribbon cutting, of course. And we're open to the community, no appointments needed, walk-ins are encouraged. So I also encourage anyone from this committee, if they see a condition that they believe Rocio needs to know about, or the navigators, please feel free to give me a call or give her a call or drop by and let me know. And I have that connected, lifeline to Rocio, 24/7, and I'll be sure to pass along any information. And now, without further
Okay.
ado, I'm gonna let you introduce her, Steve.
well, I've never met her before, so I can't really do a decent introduction. All I can do is say that Rocio Santos, Program Director at the Bridge, and welcome to this committee, and hopefully this will be the first of a series of occasions when you come to us and report to us about the work you're doing in the Washington Heights Inwood community.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. Would it be possible for me to share the screen? And if not, I'm okay with going about the presentation orally.
Yeah, we do I hit this thing?
Yeah,
Make her
make her
co-
host, and then she
I thought
should be able
We
to
wanted
share.
to go,
Yes.
yeah. Okay,
Thank you so much
I think I just did that for you.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. I am very grateful. We wanted to talk a little bit about the services and support that we are providing. So, as Jocelyn mentioned, thank you so much for that introduction. This is a new program by the district attorney where $6 million are being invested in order to ensure that we're providing support and services to those that are unhoused, have a substance use and or mental health disorder within communities of Washington Heights, Lower East Side, Midtown, West Hell's Kitchen, Chelsea, and Central and East Harlem. What we've done in the last 6 months in our planning stage is gone within the community, collaborate with businesses, community-based organizations, as well as other individuals, within the community, elected officials, NYPD, in order to get information on where is it that we need to have the navigators. We are looking to eventually hire, yes.
Rocio, could you hold on a moment? Is there a way to move that?
Oh, yeah.
It's Yeah, we can't see the entire presentation right now, so we're making an adjustment on the screen.
Just drag it over.
Okay.
Yeah, but do they have to see me?
No, hopefully when she speaks, it'll.
Oh,
Yeah. it's gonna be
Okay.
alright.
switch her.
okay, okay, that's much better. Okay, yeah, Rocio, please hurry it up and speak.
Okay. So, basically, as she mentioned, is a partnership with the district attorney as well as ISLG, in order to ensure that we're providing supporting services to individuals in the communities that are unhoused, have a substance use disorder, or mental health. We're looking to be out and about and provide support, but most importantly, connect these individuals to services. So in order to be part of this program, we've removed all of the red tapes. We don't need individuals to be sober. We don't need them to have Medicaid or go through a plethora of prerequisites to be part of it. If you know of someone in the community that's unhoused or spending significant time in the streets, please call us. Our navigators are actually out and about in order to support the services that these individuals may need. We're doing so by building trusting relationships and meeting individuals where they're at. So you are going to see 3 navigators in the community that are going to be able to provide that support, but most importantly, be able to speak the language and understand what's going on, as we are hiring those that have lived in or share experience, navigators that came from those situations and are able to be empathetic, but also connect individuals to services. So the relationship with the navigator and those individuals in the streets can begin with a cup of coffee, a simple hello, and moving from there, we will work with them to provide the support that they may need. The Bridge won this competitive RFP because we are an organization that has been around since 1954. We were started by individuals that came out of mental health institutions and didn't find a place for themselves. So they decided that they needed to address the issues that the city was facing. We provide housing for over 1,500 individuals between January of last year and this year. We house 234 people. And when we mean housing, we're not talking about shelter. We're talking about supportive housing and or their own apartment. We do so by also collaborating with safe option support teams. We have 4 in the Bridge, as well as 9 ACT teams and a plethora of other services, 40 programs in total. So we're looking to also collaborate and provide that warm handoff to individuals. We provide education. There's also job placement, therapy, and vocational services. So what we're aiming to do is make sure that we are building the relationship and the rapport with those that are out in the street, whether we're bringing them into, for a cup of coffee, for humanizing them and looking at the human side. Not what is wrong with you, but how can we help you? What happened to you? How can we support you? Navigators will guide and work with these individuals for 9 months to a year. And provide the support that they may need. So let's say if I were to be a client that is out in the streets and my goal is not housing, but my goal will be for the navigators to take me to a doctor's appointment because I haven't been to a doctor's appointment in 20 years. We will leverage our partnerships with Ryan Health and any other community-based clinics and or locations that are willing to take those clients. Navigators will sit with the clients throughout the day and ensure that they're helping them navigate and understand their rights. Eventually, depending on what the person needs and or desire, the navigators will assist them in every step of the way. So far in Washington Heights, we've been able to engage with possibly 7 clients. We've met them at Holy Root Church. We've been around Duarte Park, as well as the skate park, where we have interacted with them, taken them out to lunch, purchase clothing for these clients as well, locating in places and or businesses that will allow us to congregate and or meet with them there, but most importantly, provide the support and services that they may need. We're also working and collaborating with soup kitchens, drop-in centers to bring the clients in, because we've noticed that a lot of the services and support that individuals need, it's time is of the essence. So if I'm ready to get into treatment today, but I am not connected with services, or I am not connected with someone that will help and guide me, I will not want to be in treatment, and I will continue to live the way that I am living instead of getting that help and or that assistance, because I believe that I don't matter, or that I am not important for the community. That's another thing that navigators are going to be doing. They're going to ensure that while the treatments are being provided, and or the person is on the wait list, that they are providing that compassion, that support, and connecting them to other alternative services. So we're looking to hire a total of 3 navigators for Washington Heights. We have 2 at the moment. And then we're making sure that they understand that they will be conducting outreach. The job requires that they're out in the community 80% of the time and 20% in office. The vacancy that we have at the moment is for someone that's Spanish speaking, so a fully bilingual Spanish person. The job is also paying $45,000 a year. So it is not a voluntary job. It is a $45,000 a year. All they need is to have a high school diploma, and the passion and compassion for this type of work. This is a union job, so after they've been with the bridge for about 6 months, they will be part of the union, 1199. That will then eventually help them should they want to pursue further education. What I can say, based on, we launched this program on the 1st of last month, so February 1st. And what I can say is that thus far, those individuals in the street or out in the community that need support are very receptive, because they see that the navigators are there. So they feel as if they are being seen, and their issues and or whatever it is that they're going through, we're making them feel as if they are important, because they are, right? They are our neighbors. They're out there, and we understand that people do not just want to be, getting high or using substance or not addressing their mental health, but they do have a lot of fear, and this is why the neighborhood navigators are going to assist and promote the support that they may need. Any questions?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you very much. So the program has already been launched. You already have Carmen.
Hi.
How are you feeling?
A little better.
Oh, great.
That's just like it.
All right. Thank you for coming. We now have maybe an official quorum. Yes. Very good. Thank you. So the two navigators are already working in the community 80% of the time. They're walking through the community and they're covering all of Washington Heights and Inwood from 155th to 218th Street. Is that correct?
That is the goal. So for what we also want to make sure is that we're managing expectation. We know that with 3 navigators, we're unable to eradicate and or cover the entire neighborhood. So we started by Holy Root Church, because that's where we noticed that there was a hot spot based on the interaction and conversation with the community, as well as Duarte Park. But we've also been able, based on referrals and even individuals themselves referring themselves and saying, oh, I'm staying up here, or this is where we congregate, have been able to expand and go into the skate park. However, this is why we're urging the community to email us and or contact us if they see someone or find a place where, hotspots, if they consider the hotspots. And we will be able to deploy our navigators out there to provide the support that they may need. I am going to add my information in the chat. Should anyone need to contact me.
And the 20% of the time where they would be in the office, is the office the DA's office over here at 166th Street, or is it the bridge further down on the west side?
It's a bridge further down on the west side on 125th Street. So they're going back to the office to collaborate, to make sure that as we all, if you have been in this field of social services, sometimes things happen where clients may, disappear, or it's emotionally wrenching. So for them to also be part of a community and come back, also notes, right, to make sure, because we are funded by the district attorney's office for 3.5 years for this program, but there's metrics and other things that they will want us to see. So how many people we interacted with, what are the services that these individuals are being connected to. The other thing is when we are out in the community, the navigators are there, they're providing these individuals with hygiene kits that include soap, a comb, a deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste. We also are providing snack kits, so water and granola bars, etc. And also safe use kits in order to make sure that if they are using, they're doing so in a safe manner and connecting them to support and services. We also have a clinic in 108 where we will be able to bring those individuals for medical appointments. We've connected with the show van that is in Washington Heights. that will be able to provide them with wound care and emergency services should the individuals need.
I'm sorry, what was that van? Are you
The show
connected
van
with?
is the hospital, it's a hospital on wheel with health and hospitals.
Oh.
And they are in Washington Heights every day, Monday through Friday, actually, 9 to 5. And we have been able to bring individuals there and even connect with those from the van, provide our pamphlets, etc. So they do provide emergency medical services as well as wound care. They are providing emergency and or referral mental health to those that are unhoused and may have a substance use or mental health disorder.
And this is a van that's connected with the city's health and hospitals?
Yes.
I never heard, and it's in our community did you say 5 days a week?
Yes.
What are the cross streets?
Oh,
Give me a second. I'll tell you exactly.
Oh.
But these are the type of things also that the navigators are able to provide the community with, connect to services. We're working and collaborating with other services, so we're not duplicating them, right? It's not like we're competing with other community-based organizations, but trying to build that rapport. So if anyone sees someone out in the street that they're unable to connect, that we're able to do that.
yeah, I was wondering, because we do have an existing a group, maybe it's CUCS that does outreach
Yes.
in Washington Heights and Inwood through the city funds its own homeless outreach program, which is I think operated with God at Riverside, the Manhattan Outreach Consortium, which I think you referred to in your presentation. So how do you and now we also have Breaking Ground, also working in the community around the hospital. So how is it? I think we have to get all three of these groups to work together and coordinate to make sure you're not duplicating services.
So we actually present at each other's meetings. We collaborate, call each other. Should a client be hard to reach for them, they will reach out to us and so on. This is something that we've been doing for a while, even before this program. But now that the program is there, and for example, for us, as I mentioned, we don't need the person to be sober. We don't need the person to have Medicaid. We don't even need the person to accept services in order for us to engage with them. Our navigators are doing so. So if we do get a referral, hey, we found this person, let's say a bodega owner. This person congregates here every day at 6 o'clock. I may not know their name, but they wear a black hat. Can you send your navigators here? The goal is to ensure that we're sending the navigators within 24 hours and that I can begin the conversation with the individuals at that point. If the person says, no, I'm good, I don't want services, that doesn't mean we're going to give up. We're going to continue to try to engage the person. And we're doing so for about a month or two. And eventually with a cup of coffee, with humanizing the individuals allows us to connect with them, right? And consistency is key. This is why we're looking for the navigators to be within the community 80% of the time. Instead of moving them to 4 different neighborhoods, these are the same navigators you will see through the duration of this pilot. As far as the, of this program, we're also reaching out to elected officials and everybody that can continue to help us to fund this. As far as the show van, it is located on West 180th Street and Amsterdam Avenue.
What 181st?
180th.
180th.
Yes, and it is there Monday through Friday from 10 to 6, actually. And they provide all of the support that I mentioned. You could just walk up or bring someone, and it's called the Street Health Outreach and Wellness Mobile Unit, and it's from Health and Hospitals.
That's what I'm pointing.
Yeah, maybe that's in conjunction with OnPoint, with the needle exchange program.
No, they're in a plethora of neighborhoods within Manhattan. And in Queens, I know OnPoint is right across the street from there, but they're not necessarily affiliated with OnPoint. This started during the pandemic in order to provide support and services to those that needed the support, but were afraid because again, they didn't have the insurance or being unhoused or with the mental health, they did not want to go into institution.
So it's Monday to Friday from 10 to 6.
Yes.
And you am I hearing you correctly? You call it the show van. Is that SHOW?
Yes, that's how they're called. Yes.
Really? Okay. That's,
Is a street outreach van with Health and Hospital. So we're collaborating with them as well.
okay,
So if they see someone out in the streets that may need their support of the program, right? Some people, for example, let's say I am the client, I've been going to the van for medication management or for womb care, but I don't have an ID, I don't have any permanent housing. And for whatever reason, as we know, many of these individuals that are unhoused have a history with DHS where they don't want to be in a shelter because they might have been abused or seen a lot of stuff, right? And to them, this is not their way. Housing and or going through shelter is not the way to go about. So the showman can call us and we will go there and begin that report and that relationship with that person.
would it make sense if you also had some kind of connection with New York Presbyterian Hospital, which is our primary healthcare provider here in Northern Manhattan?
Yes, we met with
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
we met with they actually have a similar program. It's a peer program for those that are going into the hospital for mental health. We're collaborating with them. We met with them a couple of weeks ago, and we're looking to have a more detailed and in-depth meeting with their social workers in order to talk about referrals and how to streamline the process. Because as I mentioned, the Bridge not only has this program, but there's about 40 other programs that the community can benefit from.
Right. Well, as it happens, we have 3 officials from the hospital sitting here in the room with us. So if there's any issue with you being able to connect with the hospital, I'm sure one of them, if not all 3, could help you. And I think it could only be to the eventual benefit of your program if you had that connection. You know, you may find that somebody needs to quickly get some service, has to be brought into the hospital, maybe needs to be admitted to the hospital, and maybe you could just walk them right in or something.
Oh, that would be great. Yes.
All right. Well, OC has a question.
Yeah, kind of a little disappointed, even though I understand that Inwood is kind of out of the equation at that point. But you mentioned something about if we see an individual that may benefit from that program, we can call you, even though this individual is in Inwood.
Yeah, well,
Area, Washington Heights, and-
their catchment area is all of Washington Heights and Inwood.
Okay, because
Actually,
just Washington
our
Heights.
first client, or our first prospective client is actually in Inwood. That was the first person that we were able to connect, and we have been working with this person since the launch of the program, and trying to connect them to services.
Okay, so how do we and whoever is listening online can contact you if they have if they know of or of an individual that need your help and services?
So we have a phone line that is manned every day, Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. It's 212-423-5733. Or you could email us neighborhoodnab@thebridgeny.org. I'm going to also add this information in the chat.
Did you say neighborhood map as in
NAV, NAV, as a neighborhood navigator, NAV@thebridgeny.org.
And could you just repeat the phone number?
Sure. 212-423-5733.
So it's at the Bridge
And neighborhood nav, NAV at thebridgeny.org.
Yes.
Okay.
Also hoping to come back in a couple of months if you guys will have us to talk about some matrix and things that we can report on.
Absolutely.
Oh, so the Matrix, isn't that a movie? Oh, something else maybe. Okay.
Steven, just so you know, Rocio also presented for the Northern Manhattan agenda at the behavioral.
Oh, very good.
Committee.
Very good. And that's perfect, because that's the group of our local providers that you definitely should be connected with. So let me go back to my earlier point. Since we have, I think it's a CUCS, since we now have you And since we have it in the immediate vicinity of the hospital, we also now have breaking ground. So let's say all three of you run across maybe the same unhoused person hanging out in Duarte Square or wherever. Is there any downside to that if three different outreach workers go up to somebody and try to talk to them about services? Is there a need to for somebody to say, I'm already dealing with that client, you should concentrate on someone else? How does that work?
It could be a double-edged sword, right? Because some people are saying, okay, I already spoke to someone. What do you guys need? Or I don't want to speak to people. So this is why we're collaborating and making
Yeah.
sure that we are there. However, the difference between our program and all of the other programs that you've mentioned is that they have prerequisites for the clients to be part of the program. And with us, that's not the case. So if Breaking Ground or CUCS is having a hard time engaging them, they'll be contacting us and letting us know, hey, can you deploy one of your navigators here? Because as I mentioned, the navigation and client relationship could begin with a hello, a cup of coffee, and then escalate from there. For example, the Safe Auction Support programs, SOS, that are in the subways and above ground that the mayor actually sent out as of last year in order to ensure that the subways were patrolled, require that the individuals are sober in order to be part of the program. We don't have any of those requirements. So that's the difference between our programs and the rest, that we will meet individuals where they're at and help them get to where they want to get. The other thing is, since we're working with them from 9 months to a year, once we're done with them, we want to provide the warm handoff instead of having them linger out in the community. So collaborating with Breaking Ground, with CUCS and those other programs is to the benefit of our program and most importantly, the people that we're serving. Navigators are not just going to refer them by giving them a piece of paper, but they will walk them in to the referral, make sure that the referral is a warm handoff and that the relationship is collaborative instead of a competition, if that makes sense.
Good answer.
Seems like they are the go-to, the first place to go, and from there, your collaboration can help them in other ways because they don't have prerequisites, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for not having prerequisites.
But on the other hand, if the person isn't sober and is maybe high on drugs, how communicative are they going to be? I mean, how are you really going to be able to sit down and talk to them and get them to understand the services that you want to provide?
Well, remember, we're not just doing a one-off, we're coming back. This is why it's important for the navigators to be out in the community. We've encountered individuals that are actively using in our patrols and with SOS, with other teams, specifically even in Washington Heights. And what we've done is begin providing them with like a safe use kit. So depending on the type of substances that they're using, we're providing them a cleaner kit with our information and going back, okay, we'll be back next week. Are you here? And then at that point, okay, will you like a cup of coffee, or we will take you out to lunch. So it's not giving up and being consistent.
Nice.
All right, sounds pretty good.
I like it.
Yeah, really great work.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I've added my information. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to contact me.
Okay, well, we're definitely going to do that, and we're certainly going to want you to come back at a future point and give us a report on the progress that you're making. Let me ask one more question. Do the navigators go into the subways? Do you go into the hundreds?
They
They
do
do not go
not.
into.
No.
Okay.
Because we already have the SOS teams. However, SOS teams are able to identify individuals that do not want to work with them and support us in that effort.
Right. And maybe the other if you haven't already touched base with Project Renewal that runs the men's shelter, maybe have you spoken to them yet?
My navigators have actually gone to the actual shelter a few times.
Yeah.
But we could definitely, if you have a connection, a more direct connection, I will appreciate it.
Yeah, we must. I mean, the woman that was the director there for years, retired, but, I assume the community board district manager must be in contact with whoever is there now. So you could reach out to Ebenezer Smith, our district manager, who hopefully can provide you with that information.
Julio got it.
Yeah, we also have. I'll share that information, Jocelyn. Sure.
Okay, we've already made the connection for you. Okay, very good.
Awesome. Thank you
Okay,
so
thank you.
much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
all right. Just make sure you stay in touch with Jocelyn.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good.
Thank you so much, everyone, for having me.
All right, thank you for your work.
Bye.
Okay, so now we do have somebody here from Breaking Ground, I believe. Or do you want to, what,
I'm gonna share my screen if you give me, rights.
I don't, do I want to do that?
Can you do it from that screen or? No, you can use your, screen photos.
Oh, 1 second, yeah.
Sometimes it's.
Well,
That's the last.
yeah, but now her name is covered up.
Erica.
Uh,
Okay, I think we're. We didn't count that.
You ready?
Okay, it should be on.
I could share it.
I think so.
it says co-host.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Oh, we didn't ask what colors they're in.
Steve, can I get the link as well? I can do my share up there when it's my turn, if you'd like.
Well, who, are you Chris?
Yes.
Oh,
You're covered up, Chris, that's why.
There you
okay. All right, well, somebody's gonna have to tell me how to do that.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to you soon. You're up next.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Monica Hidalgo, and I'm Corporate Director of Community Affairs in New York Presbyterian. And I want to thank you all for allowing us to present a project that we're very excited about. And I think it's very sort of telling that we're here tonight to present alongside Jocelyn and Rocio, who just spoke about another fantastic initiative in the community. I'm not going to talk too much about the actual implementation. I'm going to defer to Erica and our colleague in Breaking Ground to do that. But I think that what I'd like to say is that, like others in the community, we've identified that homelessness is a serious problem, and it's so dire that I think it does require multiple efforts and a multi-pronged approach. And that is why I think it's really wonderful that we can be here and have programs like the Bridge and have this collaboration with Breaking Ground, because I think it's going to take more than just some of us to address it. So with that, I want to introduce my colleague, Erica Torres, who's Manager of Community Affairs for the hospital here in Northern Manhattan, to sort of kick it off, and then we'll tell you a little bit more about the implementation, and look forward to your questions and comments and suggestions.
Thank you, Monica. So my name is Erica Torres. Like Monica said, I'm the Community Affairs Manager at New York Presbyterian for the Northern Manhattan region, supporting 3 of our campuses. That is Columbia University Irving Medical Center, the Allen Hospital up in Inwood, and Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital. And today we'll be speaking about the partnership we have with Breaking Ground, addressing homelessness in Washington Heights. I'm going to hand it off to Jay first, Jay Stevens from Breaking Ground. He's the Assistant Vice President. He will give an overview of Breaking Ground, and then we'll highlight the why and the implementation, and then share some outcomes and end with the success story. We did launch this initiative December 11th of last year. And since then, it's been wonderful. And I'm excited to share this information. So, Jay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you want to get back, or you want to run the slides?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. Folks, thank you for having me. I really appreciate your time. Go ahead. Steve.
Jocelyn, one thing I forgot to tell Rocio, she should email her slides to me, or can you email them to me?
I will
Yeah.
ask her. to
Okay.
share.
Okay, great. So, I would ask you to do the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, thank
And Jay Stevens?
Jay Stevens, yeah.
SGEPH?
With a V, sir.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's the way I prefer it.
that's the only, that's what was given to me.
Okay, yeah. That's what was given to me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so Jay Stevens, Assistant Vice President of the Connect to Care program at Breaking Ground. I am here representing the program that's in connection with New York Presbyterian, the Connect to Care program, which I'm going to get into a little bit, is something that we've been doing for the last several years with many private institutions. But let me tell you a little bit about Breaking Ground. And just before we get into it, a little bit about myself. I'm a person who experienced homelessness for many years, substance use problems, incarceration. Our agency is really good about hiring people with lived experience as well. And I'm very proud to be able to be here and talk about the Breaking Ground program and New York Presbyterian's amazing investment in outreach in this area. So Breaking Ground, maybe many of you know, used to be called Common Ground. If you've been around for a while, you probably remember Common Ground. I was not around in the rebranding, but they like Breaking Ground. New York City nonprofit, obviously providing a variety of resources throughout New York City. So what we're looking at is everything from street outreach into transitional housing, safe havens, maybe about safe havens for transitional housing, into permanent housing. So very much about homeless services and housing services. We heard Ms. Santos speaking earlier. The bridge provides a real big suite of services, mental health services, substance use services. They have lots of other programs. Breaking Ground is heavily focused on getting you from the street into some sort of housing at some point, and ideally into permanent housing. And that's really what our specialty.
But you actually have the housing. I don't think they do.
I don't want to speak for the bridge may run housing programs too. I'm not
Yes.
even sure.
No, do they?
I think
Oh,
they do.
okay.
Yeah. We have housing, so many housing agencies. And I know you were saying, Steve, earlier, like, hey, are we duplicating services? My goodness, I wish we had too many services, then we could say it was duplicated. Yeah.
That's what I-
There's as many outreach workers as you put out there. Unfortunately, there's always going to be folks who need support. And so,
No, no, I'm sorry. What I'm thinking is that, maybe you come to me
Yeah.
and, I don't like your look. I'm not going to respond to you.
that's exactly right.
Right. And maybe she sends me somebody else who I like
Right.
and who I'm willing to talk to.
That's exactly right.
So maybe it's not duplicating services. Maybe it's just, they hit it off with somebody else and,
That's right.
and maybe the client is more receptive to somebody else who comes to them.
You've hit it exactly. And I think that throughout all social services, especially because we're talking about such a personal thing, relationships, it comes down to, they may just be like, nah, not for me. You're not the guy I want to talk to, but the next person is. And so very important to continue to be persistent and patient and,
But still, I think all three groups still need to share information.
Yeah.
You still have to tell them, listen, we tried with this guy, but it didn't work. But, so if you go talk to him, you should try something else,
Collaboration is key for all social services.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because it's always multiple parties that are involved because no one's an expert in that. Agree. So quickly, just again, Breaking Ground background, which of course you could get from our website too, is that our Street to Home program is probably what most people are most familiar with. So when you were talking about the Manhattan Outreach Consortium, right, we're talking about city-funded, DHS supported street outreach teams. You've got CUCS in Goddard. You've got Breaking Ground in Midtown, and then Breaking Ground covers all of Brooklyn and all of Queens. Bronx Works in the Bronx. We have Project Hospitality in Staten Island. But what Breaking Ground discovered in talking to a lot of folks is like, hey, what about all the folks who are experiencing homelessness not in public spaces? Because the street outreach teams can't go into private spaces. So they can't go inside a Starbucks. They can't go inside a Macy's. They can't go inside the Presbyterian Hospital and do street outreach there. And that's where the Connect to Care program came along. So a public-private partnership where individual businesses that we would like you to have some street in reach into our organizations. And so those are, in fact, I've just mentioned a couple of our partners. So Macy's has us come and do canvassing within Macy's. Starbucks has us come and do canvassing within Starbucks. And most recently, and really what a joy to work with New York Presbyterian, an opportunity to come work in the emergency room, all the different areas of the emergency room, in the CPAP, in the waiting area, and in a couple blocks surrounding the hospital as well. And so that's what the Connect to Care program is, over which sort of that's my portfolio. And yeah, you see there in Vornado Realty as well, who we work down around Penn, right? Penn Plaza.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Isn't it the case that this is the first time that Breaking Ground is engaged in this kind of partnership with a healthcare institution?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is a first for us. Very excited, and I think many other hospitals are sort of saying, how can we get in reach? And the city doesn't have the funding to always, send workers everywhere, and so the private institutions, it's an expense. It's a decision that has to be made. You take a look at the budget, and we're warmed by the fact that the New York Presbyterian decided to step up and bring us in, and so we have I'll talk a little bit about the program in a second, but the outreach workers here, canvassing the community 24/7. So we started in the middle of December. We got ramped up. We're, I think, one staff member short of our full team of 10 outreach workers, 2 shift managers, an assistant program director, a program director, and there's a senior program director part. Their time is also committed to this. So a 24/7 coverage of the hospital and 165th to 168th plus Duarte, and from Fort Wash over to St. Nicholas, and
Broadway to Riverside.
and Broadway to Riverside, excuse me. Broadway to Riverside, excuse me. Thank you. And so now that we've been doing that, and you'll see us, I brought my green jacket for the camera. So you'll see our jackets out there, the Connect to Care program. These are my staff, although during the summer it might be a t-shirt as opposed to the heavy winter jacket, but the green is us. And you'll see us canvassing around. And although if I do want to say, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, but for folks who see members of the community who might be experiencing homelessness and thinking, oh, maybe I should call Breaking Ground's Connect to Care program, really you want to use the 311, or you want to reach out to Ms. Santos and her team for when we think about somebody who's experiencing street homelessness sort of outside of our catchment area. We're not a city funded team, right? So we're privately funded, but you can always grab us. You see the green jacket. Hey, Jay, because I'm out there too. I go out and I walk with my teams too. Hey, we see something going on over here. Could you take a look? Of course, we're going to take a look and try to make sure that they get connected.
What's outside your catchment area?
So 165th to 168th Broadway to Riverside is what we canvass outside, and then inside the hospital. Obviously, the hospital is a really special place to be because folks, there's a moment there where you have an opportunity to, they've been very vulnerable. They're inside the hospital, they're getting some care, and maybe they're thinking, hey, maybe some more care, or roof over my head. This would be a nice moment. Yeah. But we do canvas as well.
So inside the hospital, you're in the ER,
correct,
you're in the CPAP unit,
correct.
and did you mention a third place?
The waiting area, just outside the ER, when you think about
Oh,
go right into
yeah,
the
yeah.
hospital, in that
Yeah.
waiting area where some folks will come in when they're cold. Maybe they're not there for the ER, maybe they're there to get out.
You mean
Yeah.
when you come in off of Broadway to 167, that area?
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Exactly right. And what we do is we engage with folks, much like Ms. Santos's team, we engage with folks, kind of see where they're at and what they're looking to do, try to provide some supplies if that's something they want, begin to build a relationship. And then Breaking Ground specialty, because we run a lot of safe havens, is of course, if you're able to, and maybe a slight correction, or a slight reframe of what was offered earlier. We also have no requirements for services. If you're able to manage your ADLs, so your activities of daily living, you can go to the toilet yourself and you can feed yourself. You're not in need of a skilled nursing facility or something like that. And you're experiencing street homelessness, that's it. We can bring you into a safe haven immediately. You don't even need ID. So that's one way, and that's transitional housing. And so we find
But
that's.
we have those safe havens up here, do we?
So we don't operate any safe havens in this area, but we would
Right.
transport the person. That's what we've done
Okay.
again and again, is getting folks to the next open bed. The system is more complicated than I think anybody wants to hear about. But yeah, you make a referral to JCC, and then there's a vulnerability report, and they have to decide what bed would be most appropriate, and you have to get the beds open, et cetera. So there's a process, and our folks are experts at it, much better than I am. And we can get folks inside sometimes same day.
So they get a bed and then the next day they're out, or
No.
because it's not a shelter, right?
Right, so we serve specifically folks, so when we think about street outreach, we're thinking about reaching out to people who are not connected to shelter. So for whatever reason, either they can't tolerate shelter, it's not working for them, they feel unsafe, the curfew system over there isn't working for them, they keep losing their bed, they've moved to the streets. And so what we do is we come in, and if you're familiar with safe havens have, they're a much lower threshold sort of product, right? You can have 3 days to come back if you don't lose your bed. The services are more robust on site. And so the Safe Haven model is a beautiful model. DHS, when the Safe Haven model was created, it really served an enormous number of people who were getting lost from the regular shelter system. No, once you're in the Safe Haven, you're there, and then the case managers there are going to work with you to try to get your 2010E, if that's what you're looking for supportive housing, right? And get placed through HRA into a perfect.
I think we cut her off.
No. I was gonna say, actually, what you can see on the screen, because it's being blocked off, and I know Steve will ask, this is a 1-year pilot initiative.
Yes.
Well,
Oh. And what happened after 1 year?
Well, no,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
imagining.
so we started as a one-year pilot with the intention of really continuing the work as needed. And I think that the reason why it's so important that we're here is because we're learning about other initiatives. And I think it allows us to really think about how do we continue to work in a more collaborative fashion so that we're really addressing, homelessness in a meaningful way, in a thoughtful way.
Is there something, in New York City that is similar to, I want to say it's Ohio, which I heard that I have like, they hold 100,000 apartments or something. And I'm almost certain it's Ohio, but maybe I'm lost on the state. And they have, the goal is to get 100,000 apartments for
Mm,
people with whatever problems,
Yeah.
are homeless
know
or
about that
not,
here,
or
too.
drug issues, or you name it, that just get them off the street and going, and they have to, they have to get into, they find a job, they help them find a job, obviously, but they have to keep it. They have to, and so there is no rent, they don't pay anything, obviously,
Mhm.
but they want them to get back to society.
Mhm.
And so, are you familiar with that program?
Does that sound like supportive housing?
So, so that particular program I haven't heard of in Ohio. Every state's got, a variety of programs. New York's sort of like, the thing that New York has is guaranteed shelter, right? Now, and most states don't, right? So we have, no matter where you are always welcome to go in if you want to go into the traditional shelter system. And New York City has to give you a bed that night. And the Callahan consent decree, everybody is guaranteed a bed here. In terms of sort of solving homelessness, like we're not going to do that here in this meeting, but I'm going to tell you that the short answer is more housing, right? So more affordable housing is what happens. When we get people inside, then things can happen. For some folks, connection to employment is exactly what they need. For other folks who may be struggling more with some life skills, connection to some sort of vocation that may not be paid employment, but something that helps them give meaning in their lives, that can be the key. For other folks who survived a lifetime of trauma, being able to just sit down for a minute and not have the threat of death at all times, maybe that's what they really need. So I think depending on who it is, but when we think about supportive housing, and so you say supportive housing comes in lots of different flavors. We have lots of it in New York City, but we need a lot more. So there's mental health supportive housing, which is, absolutely gonna have case managers on site, you have access to site and that kind of thing. And you also have supportive housing for people who have experienced homelessness who may not identify as people who have mental health concerns, but also need additional support for other reasons. And, you think about, I'm not gonna go through the litany of the reasons that one might need support, but I think the general term supportive housing is units that are going to be paid for by some sort of public assistance, mostly by your SSI or by HRA. They're going to cover if you don't have SSI, and you contribute if you can, whatever portion of money you have, a maximum a third of your income, and then you'll have services on site. And that's really where we want to move most of the folks who are on the street. Probably need some additional support. Some folks just fell on hard times and they just need access. They don't even know about the shelter system. We've talked to one person, he was like, there's a shelter system? He's like, I just got here. I said, we're going to show you the shelter system, you know what I mean? And that person was able to get in off the street. So there's a wide variety.
Is there more to your PowerPoint?
So like Jay said, they canvass inside our emergency room and they work with interdisciplinary staff from case management, patient navigation, the ED physicians, nursing, our security team. It's just been a wonderful experience to work with everyone, and I know Jay can attest to that. The program elements, they include service engagement, connection, and crisis intervention for street homeless. We've also had Breaking Ground present to the Northern Manhattan Behavioral Health Agenda, and they've also extended their supports with their connections to our community partners, but they also are offering their services to our staff on education and further support. Oh, so why Washington Heights? These statistics were taken from NYC Open Data. So over a 90-day period, Columbia University Irving Medical Center, NYP, had twice as many requests for homeless assistance than Harlem Hospital and 8% more calls than Bellevue Hospital. We also have the highest density of homeless individuals of any private New York City hospital. And of course, because, we have 3 campuses within Northern Manhattan, some folks might ask like, well, why not the Allen up in Inwood? And in a 3-month period, NYP Allen had 2 homeless outreach calls versus we had 47.
Now, what is, how does somebody made a homeless outreach call to the hospital? Asking that you send someone out to do homeless outreach? What is meant here by a homeless outreach call?
So this was provided by Breaking Ground to us
Yeah.
from the NYC Open Data. So I would lean to Jay to explain that.
Yeah, when we're talking about homeless outreach calls, that could be from the hospital or for a community member, that's sort of identifying an individual who's homeless in the immediate area.
I see, from the hospital, okay.
Right,
So the hospital is reaching out
correct.
and looking for assistance.
Yes.
Because maybe somebody's wandered into the hospital.
Sure, they may have wandered
Yeah.
into the hospital, or they may be receiving services, and
Right.
then when they start asking, well, where are we discharging you to?
They
say,
have no
"Well, I live
place."
On the street.
Oh,
Right.
yes, of course.
Mhm.
And that probably presents itself,
A lot of our,
yeah.
yes.
So that's, that's okay. That's a real problem. So you can't even discharge the people, right?
So we do have some outcomes to share. Like we mentioned, we launched on December 11th, 2023, and I'll have Jay share them.
Yeah, I think, so, probably an undercount, but we wanted to be conservative. So we've had 200 in just a couple months. We've had 204 successful contacts with 59 individuals, unique individuals. The 59 unique individuals are ones that we've seen more than once, and we've sort of got a name or a description, and we put them in our system. There's probably twice as many of beyond that 59. So let's say another 110 to 120 individuals who we have very light contact with. Maybe we see them once. They say, no, thank you for the services. We don't put them in our system. We hope to see them again and see if we can establish a relationship. But 59 that we've gotten, that we're sort of tracking at this point and trying to provide services to. We've had 12 housing placements already, many facilitated by hospital staff who have reached out to us and said, would you come? And so we set up a ticket system so that the hospital can reach out to us and say, we've got someone who we think is experiencing street homelessness. Could you please come in and talk to them? And we reach out to them. And in fact, some of our placements have been from the street, but now that the ticket system is up and running just in the last couple of weeks, we're getting lots of referrals directly from the hospital. What we're hoping to do for the community, of course, and I think what New York Presbyterian is hoping to do as well, is grab folks in that moment and get them housed before they're back in the street and in the community where they're more vulnerable in that space.
Can you please shed some light on the gap between the 59 individuals engaged and why there's only like 12 transitional housing payments? Like what happens in between?
Yeah.
And not all of those people actually get placed.
Yeah, and just for perspective, this is one of the best ratios of any of our programs. So that's normally you might see something like several hundred individuals engaged and only 12 placements. Actually, the CEO hasn't come yet, but the COO definitely came over and said, how are you getting so many people placed up there? And I think part of it is because engaging folks directly in the hospital where it's a little calmer and we've got an opportunity to talk about services. Typically the people who are living on the street it's a variety of reasons. So I hate to generalize, but for folks who are on the street for any extended period of time, they build communities there, that becomes their home. That's where their resources are, that's where their support is. And so the idea of leaving that, even to go inside, feels kind of dangerous, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a roof, but now the people that I hang out with, the people who give me food when they have food and I give them food, the people that have become my friends, the people I love, I'm gonna leave all them and I'm gonna leave them on the street. And so the decision to change that much about your life is a big decision. And so most people don't make it and it takes a lot of time. So for some folks, I've worked with folks who've been on the street 20 years, 25 years. They think the idea of going in is a joke. Why would I do that? I've been out here for half my life. So seeing these types of numbers, actually, we're blown away. We're thrilled to be able to get these 12 placements already, and we expect to get many more. But yeah, I would certainly hope that some of those other 59 individuals, after they get to know us, we build enough trust. I mean, if I came up to you and I said, hey, you want to jump in the van and go check out this place I got to live in, I'd be like, why don't you come back next week and let me see if you're legit, right? And so we have to take time to build that trust and build that relationship.
So what happens to the other 47 people? What,
We
what,
keep trying, right?
Well, yeah, we keep trying, you know?
And one more question, this data is from the beginning, from when you
Uh,
guys started
yeah,
in December?
From the mid-December, and I don't want to like sort of attenuate any of the numbers, but mid-December, we had 2 staff out, and so now we've got our full 10 staff out just in the last couple of weeks, and so we're rolling 24/7. Coming up on, it'll be a month soon.
you have 10 staff working in just this, 3-block area? or-
Yeah, near Presbyterian has funded a very robust staff. We have a lot of folks, 24/7, 3 shifts, just running all the time, a minimum of 2 outreach workers. You'll see the green jackets around. And so, yeah, one of our very first placements actually came from Duarte, Square, and, I'm gonna talk about that placement now. Yeah. Do you want to share the screen or you want me to just go off?
Yeah, just
Either
read
way.
it, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So this is, and I'm reading a little bit from one of my outreach workers. However, when they said, well, this is one of the nice stories, Jay, you want to tell this one? I actually know, this participant because I engaged with them, on one of my first walk-arounds. They were in the park and we talked to them. We're going to call this person SJ, and Duarte Square Park was interested in going inside, urgently looking for placement. This is one of these stories where it's not the story that's always told. We hear people are on the street and we're like, oh, well, they're choosing street homelessness, right? It's a choice, you know, when they want to come inside, they want to come inside. So this person was a survivor of domestic abuse, of interpersonal violence, and her abuser was stalking her shelter. So she was trying to stay in shelter, but couldn't go back. And so she was afraid to go back to that shelter, but she had an assigned shelter. In the way the city shelter system works, you have to go through a fairly arduous process to get a transfer. You've got to file a police report saying some violence happened and I'm not safe here. Also filing another police report against abuser. That can be very dangerous. And so she had chosen to move to the streets. And so when we engaged with her, she was absolutely looking for housing and didn't know that safe havens were an option. So over a period of 2 weeks, developed a relationship with her, got her paperwork done, and got her into the safe haven just before the holidays. She's someone who's highly regarded in the neighborhood. It's kind of a street mom, is the way she was described. There's a group of other folks that she had been living out there with who are now also interested in coming inside, and so we're working with them.
Amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that, we feel very fortunate to find Breaking Ground and partner with them, you know, and I think that a lot of what their strategy involves is similar to what you heard from the bridge. So it's really good to know that there is a consortium of people and organizations really committed to this for the right reasons. You know, we really appreciate that it's a thoughtful approach, a meaningful approach, and really meeting people where they're at and helping them find what they need, what works for them, with the intention of placing them in permanent housing. And I think we found some great partners in Breaking Ground, and we look forward to collaborating with others and the bridge to really help support the Washington community. So thank you very much.
And Steve, just to say, I mean, how highly regarded they are, because I don't know how Gail Brewer ended up finding out that they were gonna be working up here. And she made a call and just to say how good really Breaking Ground is, because I guess she's familiar.
Well, she also gave me a strong endorsement of the bridge.
Good.
Yeah, and I think that's wonderful, right? And
That's
just like, I
right.
think it's all of us working together to
Yeah.
really solve a very
Yeah.
important issue in our community.
No, I also spoke to Gail about this.
Yeah.
So of course, I can't let this opportunity pass without mentioning that the reinstatement of the 30 site beds at the Allen would also be valuable in supporting this overall effort. Providing a place where some people, you know, who have immediate issues can be brought and can be stabilized and being given care, and where you can help them, you know, find maybe a permanent place to live afterwards. So,
And we have some good updates on that behalf, right? Yeah. No, we've talked so much, Julio. Why don't you take it from here?
I mean, in terms of, I know, you know, this has been one of the main issues for this committee, really getting the psych unit restored at the Allen Hospital.
yes, yes.
At this point, as you know, we mentioned before, some time ago, that unit is coming back to the Allen Hospital. They're in the demolition phase. This is not something that you can sort of do overnight. So we're hoping by the second quarter of 2025 This unit will be restored with, right now with 24 beds. And not the 30 that was there, because there are some changes and we have to, look at the codes. Most of these units will also be single-bedded units. And I'm also happy to report that 3 additional beds are gonna be coming to the nursing hospital. So that will go from the 25 to 28 beds, as well at the nursing hospital. So, there is movement on that and hopefully, those beds will be restored.
Well,
So the second quarter of 2025 is April, May, June.
Like April.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the whole, this is part of your report, so I don't wanna jump in, but so if your wish was, if you could have a wish for like, psych beds, how many do you think you need in order to run your program smoothly? For
So
a psych-
breaking ground, I think I have.
In general,
Breaking ground is not gonna make a comment on.
I'm not putting it
Yeah.
on Pasteur, I'm just saying in general, with your program, what you see on a daily work right now. How many beds you need in order for your program to run smoothly? And I'm not putting it on Pasteur, and again, I'm just in general.
We appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, no, I mean, so psych beds actually don't affect, the number of psych beds don't affect whether our program runs smoothly or not. So we're street outreach, right? So we're gonna get folks, we're gonna see if we can get them into housing or if they need to go to the hospital. What happens is, because we know so many psych beds came offline, obviously over the last several years, that folks do get cycled through psych more quickly, right? Because they've got to free up the beds. And so I do think that there are cases where more psych beds would be helpful. And then I think there are other cases where I've seen people go to psych beds and I felt like that it was a time for them to go home and they were kept in that hospital. So I think like breaking ground, I came out of the mental health world, so I was in ACT team world. And so I previously worked with folks living with serious mental illness, and I spent a lot of time in psych wards and a lot of time with folks. And it's the right place for some folks at some time and not the right place at other times. And so I think the number of beds might be less important than how the beds there are used and the location of those beds relative to the community that it's serving. In terms of the raw number of beds, I don't know that I have that number or that number. Yeah, I don't know that I have.
Frankly, I don't think that,
Right, but
I don't think it's a fair question. I don't know that he on his own is gonna be able to calculate the number of beds that we need. And frankly,
We also,
I'm
just
sorry.
that lose sight of the fact that not everyone that's unhoused needs.
no, yeah.
But I asked as a,
No.
he's the experience, they're
Yeah,
the experience,
I know.
right? So maybe they know a few things that we don't.
No, I
That's the
know.
reason
No,
why I
he
asked.
knows
So
plenty-
please,
he knows plenty of things that we don't know, but.
Okay, so
but-
don't, my question was absolutely valid.
Oh, okay.
And this is why I said it's not in relation to Presbyterian, just in general.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
But,
No,
Yeah.
but there's,
questions.
but the bottom line is, there's no question that the beds are needed. And there's no question that we've suffered by not having those beds. So,
Right.
and it's,
And the location, as you mentioned, is
and-
important.
yes, well, and it's unfortunate in my mind that we still have to wait another year to get those beds back.
Did you mean a year and a half?
No, he said April of 2025.
Oh, a year. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I take it back.
I will say that one of the things that's most helpful, and nobody's asking me for this, and maybe I should just get off the stage. One of the things that's most helpful
Yeah.
is community involvement when we're talking about individuals who are homeless. And I'm not saying anybody should put themselves at risk if they don't feel safe. But the truth is, if you're living on the street, you've really been disconnected mostly from society. And then if we've internalized a lot of the stigma and shame that comes from being homeless, we read the paper and we see like this person's a bum, or you see all the really negative language. What as community members you can do is really care about your community. Go, what happened to this person? And like, can I reach out and see, and are they interested in getting connected with services? Could I call 311 and try to get them help and not just
Is that my
walk by
phone?
and pretending they're not there because they're members of our community. And I think that makes the biggest difference and also helps with mental health to know that someone noticed you and they take care of you.
Thank you
This is
so
an
much for the
amazing
opportunity.
program, and I'm
Yeah.
really excited about it. Can I just ask how you work off 311? Do you actually get the 311 calls?
Sure. So we do not. So Breaking Ground does get 311 calls because we have the city funded side, right? So if you can kind of conceptualize, there's like city-funded breaking ground, which is Midtown Manhattan, Brooklyn and Queens, and then up here at CUCS and Goddard, and right, you've got all those city-funded, and these were privately funded. But because our sister, like right within the organization is city-funded, obviously, like calls that come into 311 are going to go, some of them go to also breaking ground, right? They go to breaking ground outreach staff. In this area, CUCS is going to get those calls because there's catchment areas throughout the city on who covers what. So if you were to call 311 now, you would get CUCS, and CUCS and us, we work together. So if they go out and they see someone, they'll call us and they'll say, hey, have you seen this person? We just got a call. And we might say, yeah, we know them. You want us to come over, and we'll collaborate.
Because I do agree with you, the success of a program like this is community involvement, for sure. And we do know a lot and we can help a lot if we know the right places to go.
Now-
311 is
Yeah.
a great one. Just one more question that Steve asked of navigators. Do you go to the subway system?
So we don't because of BRC and the SOS team. So in terms of
Our resident health
yeah, so BRC is the city-funded outreach for subways only. Right? And so they've been around forever, the Bowery
Residents
Resident
Committee.
Commission.
Right.
And you'll see them in orange. So like we could, I won't speak for, so breaking ground, street to home teams, city funded teams don't because that's not part of what they're supposed to do. And we don't because New York Presbyterian is contracted us here to be in the hospital and be in the immediate area. So we leave that down there, but we know the BRC folks and certainly if they're seeing someone or they're looking for someone like, hey, we've been engaging with this person in the subway. If we don't see them anymore, have they come up to the surface, then we would be able to collaborate.
Jody, they're usually in like the white and orange vans.
Yeah.
I've seen the vans usually stationed at like 181st Street. I've seen it sometimes on 155th or like 157th. So you may see them. around.
Do you go to the south side of 165th Street, outside the Wendy's?
The south side of 160 feet outside the, well, we hit 165th Street.
But do you-
I have not personally gone outside the Wendy's. Is that an area that we should be checking?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate
Yeah.
that tip.
Also 155th and,
No, no,
Well, they can't go
they-
that far.
But as long as they go to 165th, maybe they could go to the south side of the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. We will definitely share that with the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right outside the Wendy's. for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. All righty.
thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you all.
okay, thank you.
So far, passing night, right?
Yeah,
Maybe next time they can come with like data in like 6 months.
They came up with that.
Yeah, so definitely come.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you. And I think, I think the record will show that this may be the first time that either Monica or Erica have come to this committee. Is that correct?
I'm not sure, I think Monica might have been, maybe on her head with the
Well,
ACN.
you'll see more of me. I'm finishing my grad program, so.
Okay,
We'll have more options.
all right. So we're gonna get both you and Julio.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, next on the agenda is a presentation by Chris Nickel, co-founder and a former organizer of a farm upstate, I believe, called Ceremos.
Yes, Ceremos.
Ceremos.
Hey, everybody.
Okay.
Steve, I can send you a link.
Oh, yeah, oh,
So if you want to pull it up on your computer, or we can
Oh.
add some on my computer.
geez.
Are you in the meeting?
I'm not in.
Okay.
So,
I emailed Steve beforehand about how to do this, and I think we just never got.
oh, okay, yeah, that was a mistake.
Know you
Uh-oh.
the link to the Zoom?
Yeah,
like
sure.
the Zoom link?
Yeah.
Yes.
My email is CP and my last name Nickel, NICKELL @gmail.com.
NICK
ELL.
E-double-L.
All right.
At what? At Gmail?
Yeah.
Now, where's the Zoom link? I think I have it from probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I live in Inwood, upstate Manhattan. And the farm is actually located in Beacon, New York. It's about an hour and 15 minutes north of here, right nestled under the north base of Mount Beacon. I've got some pictures I'll show you.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, so we're commuting. I'm commuting right now.
Oh, my,
Which is,
Should we have someone else?
I'm looking for the link myself.
Yeah, maybe
Oh, I
like
can
get,
just call.
you can have
Seremos, yeah.
one of these
I'll
reports
talk
in
a
the
little bit about
interim. While we sort this out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see, sometimes with the.
I can also email a Google Slides link to anybody else. Because the presentation is online, so. In fact, I did email
Yeah.
Steve.
but hold on.
I don't know who's in.
Should be able to send you the link right now, this should be it.
You got it? Because I'm still looking. for
It
the link.
is, okay, so I got the right link, 1 second.
Yeah, this is quite a departure from the last time this committee saw me, which was over 2 years ago when I was working with State Senator Robert Jackson. I was his deputy chief of staff for 3 years and came to
I
this
just
committee
sent
fairly
it.
often.
Maybe you should be able to, okay, and then once you log in,
When
it
did you
just
get the
shares.
link?
I think she did, okay, but I didn't get. She said she, yeah, I don't think that part of it. If you receive it, once you get it.
Refreshing, yes, I've got it. Thank you so much.
Once you click on it, you'll have to.
Register.
I don't think
Yeah,
the link
and then it'll just log you
ever
out.
got out.
Right.
I didn't get the link.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I got something, but I don't understand, they don't seem to be sending out the agendas of the meeting
Yeah. To
to the general
outside.
public.
Well, it's on our website,
Yeah, but,
I mean, yeah.
There is a
but in the-
email list for a reason.
Okay, I am in the meeting.
okay, very good.
Okay.
So you should be able to promote him from an attendee. So to go to the attendees, along with the promote to panelists. There we go. And then once you promote to panelists. Okay, so then we can. Now,
There you go.
You have it?
and now you promote, you give him access, yeah. Look at that. Wasn't too, that wasn't
Got it?
bad. That was very quick.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, good.
Here we go.
Okay.
So. There we go. Okay. Wonderful. So brief introductions. Seremos means we will be in Spanish. The name Finca Seremos means we will be farm. And it comes from the last line of a Pablo Neruda sonnet, the Chilean poet. Love Sonnet 69. It's a beautiful sonnet filled with a ton of beautiful imagery of nature. And the last line of the poem is, Y por amor, seré, serás, seremos, which translates as, through love, I will be, you will be, we will be. And so this is a project about love for ourselves, for each other, and for our community. This is my spouse on the left, Brenda Gonzalez, co-founder. Brenda has over 15 years experience as an educator. She currently works as the director of school culture for a charter school in the Bronx High School on the James Monroe campus. She'll be leaving in a few weeks to join me on the farm full time. And, you know, I gave a little bit of introduction about myself. I have a background in academia, in community organizing, and in government. And I embarked on this project 2.5 years ago. After I left the senator's office, I started working on farms throughout the Hudson Valley. So I've been learning how to grow a bunch of different things in the past 2 years, and we're ready to put our skills to the test and grow for you all, our community. So, you know, the goal for me tonight is to tell you a little bit more about Seremos and to answer any questions you have, hear your feedback, especially the feedback of the committee, and hope that you'll spread the word about our project and tell your friends, because we're really excited to dig in on intended. So what is a CSA? Community supported agriculture. It reconnects people eating food to the farmers who grow it. So participants in our CSA distribution will have 1 or 2 links between them and their food, not 6 or 12 or 25, as with most grocery stores and food delivery services. CSA arose as a model in the 70s and 80s for people wanting to reconnect with their food, ensure that there were not pesticides added to that food, and to support their farmers, because it's often a pay upfront model for a lot of people. And so that gives farmers a bit of income when they're buying all their inputs for the season, and helps them get through the season more easily than if they're selling at market. My mentor, Liz Henderson, actually started one of the first CSAs in New York State at Peacework Farm in Rochester in 1989. So it's a model that's got quite a bit of history, and we're excited to bring it to Inwood. So from late May through mid-November, 25 weeks, we're going to drop off seasonal, nutrient-dense produce from our farm at a convenient location in northern Manhattan. We're offering a hybrid free choice model. A lot of folks who are familiar with CSA will know the sort of box that you get every week with what you're going to get. We're going to let people choose, and there are a few reasons for that. In the beginning of the season, we'll be offering 6 or 7 items. Once we hit July and produce takes off, it'll be 8 to 10 items. The reason we're giving people these choices is because we have a diverse community, and we're going to be growing produce that meets the needs of that diverse community. And so we want to make sure that if, you know, somebody is really a big fan of culantro, that, you know, we give them the access to that and they can choose that. But if somebody doesn't know culantro, I mean, we can't help them. You know, if they don't want to take it, they don't have to. They can take more kohlrabi if they want. And so this gives a lot of flexibility, and it also makes it easier on us as the farmers not to have to produce a certain amount of every single thing for that box that week. So let's see here. We're going to be offering diverse seasonal vegetables. For the first year, we're offering free choice herbs and flowers. We're always going to be offering free flowers for our folks who are going to use SNAP benefits to pay for their subscription, because everybody deserves beauty. And so we're also going to have seasonal add-ons like homemade pesto, dried herbs, and smoke blends. You can see our pesto on the left there. We call it oro verde, green gold. And this year we're doing eggs as an add-on from some farmer friends outside of Poughkeepsie, but next year we're hoping to pasture about 200 hens to provide eggs as well, because we know that's a staple for our. So what will grow? This is a really neat little chart that my spouse made. It's a little small to see, but basically these are about 50 different crops that we're going to be growing on about an acre outside of Beacon. And each week we're going to bring whatever's in season into the CSA distribution. And so this is just a visual representation from late May through mid-November of everything that we expect to bring in the week. So, you know, you see lettuce up there. I seeded 6 flats of lettuce today. So the lettuce should be ready, hopefully by May 23rd. So these are just a few pictures, some of them mine, some of them from the internet, of the things that we're going to grow. Just beautiful, lots of red pigment. I love red pigmented vegetables. We've got a beautiful kyoja beet, a watermelon radish, this beautiful panther soy that can be eaten fresh as edamame or dried like a bean, some beautiful red napa cabbage. These tomatillos are an heirloom variety from the Malinalco region of Mexico. These peppers look like they're the hottest you'll ever see, but they're actually the sweetest you'll ever see. They're called Jimmy Nardello. They're a variety from Italy. They taste like candy. Yeah. This, of course, is recao, culantro, cilantro ancho. We're going to try and grow it in the climate here. My hack is going to be to put it under the tomato plants inside of our tunnel, so it gets that heat and humidity that it's used to in the tropics. And hopefully we'll have some really good sofrito later on in the season. And we're also really cognizant of the large Mexican community in our neighborhood. And so we're going to be growing a lot of quelites, which are fresh foraged herbs. You can think of purslane, verdolaga. This is a picture of papalo, pipicha, epazote. These are really crucial for a lot of different Mexican cuisines. And we hope to be able to offer them because they will in fact grow in the climate. And here we have a beautiful okra flower. We're going to be growing 5 different varieties of okra, molondron, imbombo, depending on where you come from. Watermelon, beautiful tomatoes. We're going to have everything that we can grow in this region. So this is a picture of the land, the field. You can see our caterpillar tunnel that we've built in the distance. We were growing on about 1.2 acres outside of Beacon. Up here is Mount Beacon. You can see it right here in the distance. The growing practices are really important to us. So we are going beyond organic. And when we say beyond organic, what we mean is we're going to comply with the organic certification requirements. We're not going to get certified ourselves because it's a little more expensive than we can pay for this first year. But we aren't going to use any synthetic fertilizers or pesticides. We are also going to go beyond just that list of requirements by really caring for the ecosystem, starting with the soil. We're tilling for the first season because the ground was not opened up. But after this first year, we don't anticipate tilling. Because tillage destroys a lot of the microbiome that exists in the soil and supports other levels of the ecosystem. And so we're really cognizant about, making sure that we have healthy populations of insects and birds that indicate that your soil is really healthy, because all those things that those organisms eat are present. So we're really looking to be good ecological stewards as well as stewards in our community. And we think that'll reflect itself in the taste of our food. Pickup for shares will be at St. Jude's Church at the parking lot right off of 204th Street and 10th Avenue. This is no more than a 20-minute walk from any part of Inwood where we're focused for our first year. And it really encourages people on the west side of Broadway to visit a part of the neighborhood that they might not otherwise frequent. And that's really important to us as a community organizing project. It's also located right next door to one of the community fridges where we'll be donating a lot of our extra produce. So it's one-stop shop for that purpose as well. Thursdays, 3:30 to 6:30 is the sweet spot. This timing allows people who plan their meals and cook over the weekend to know in advance what we're providing so they can get anything else they need at the market. It also avoids Shabbat for observant Jews and the Sabbath for observant Christians of various denominations. So let's talk about food justice for our community. We're going to be offering a few different price points to really meet the needs of the community. Let me move that window here. $800 is the market price for our CSA share, but I can't move that. That's okay. Which works out to about $32 a week. Yeah.
It's so bad.
All blessed.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
Here.
Yeah,
that's
that's
perfect.
good. Thank you.
So $800 for 25 weeks is our market price, or the sort of going rate, but we are very cognizant that that excludes a large portion of our community who also deserve access to local nutrient-dense and organic veggies. So we're going to be offering solidarity shares at 25% off and 50% off, and a limited number of free solidarity shares, because we understand that there are going to be people who can't necessarily afford any of these price points and also don't qualify for benefits. Because there are these donut holes that exist in our community. To help subsidize that, we also offer the option for people to pay above the middle income price, either $1,000 or $1,200. And we're really excited about offering CBOs the opportunity to purchase shares for their food insecure clients. Maybe it's only 1 or 2 shares for this first year and pilot that program, but going forward, we hope to expand, and we hope there will be CBOs who are interested in expanding with us to reach our community where they are. We are so excited. I can't stress this enough. SNAP recipients are our priority. We know that SNAP utilization rates in our community are probably upwards of 70%. We have an amazing grant program with the Glenwood Center for Regional Food and Farming up in Cold Spring. They have a CSA as a SNAP program where our neighbors can pay $16 a week using their EBT card, and we will get the full $32 value of the share. So in other words, they get half off, but we still get the full amount of the money. So we don't have to do any tricky math to try and subsidize, because the government, it comes from a government program, will subsidize it. And so we're really stoked to be engaging in this program. And we've got some money from the CSA as a SNAP program for SNAP recipients themselves to promote this, if they want to do some of that labor to help us promote it. I just today got the email from the Food and Nutrition Services at USDA that we got our SNAP number. So I'm like really excited that it's happening. We'll also be offering wholesale price points for community-focused restaurants so they can feature local organic produce on their menus at an affordable price. And the 3 community fridges in Inwood and Washington Heights will be our immediate next stop right after CSA distribution on Thursday afternoons, So these fridges are gonna receive produce that some of which was actually picked that morning. Some of it will be picked the day before, but some of it will have been picked that morning. And these are St. Jude's fridge, like I mentioned, Fort Fridge at 181st and Fort Washington, and the Word Up fridge over here on 165 in Amsterdam. So we're really committed to making our produce accessible to pretty much everybody, no matter what entry point makes the most sense for you. I've got time for questions, if anybody has it.
Where do I sign up?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I actually didn't include that, but you can find us on grownby.app. It's a CSA specific sales platform that's built by farmers for farmers, and it's a worker-owned co-op, so we feel really good about supporting them. It's grownby.app. And you can find us on there, just look up Seremos. And yeah, we've got our shares for sale now. We've sold about 12 shares. And we're gonna sell about 40 to 50 this first year.
Could you repeat the website? Or grown by?
Grown by.
Grownby.app.
Okay.
I will say that we've thought a lot about
Grown by.
pickup sites,
That.
and we can really only manage just the two of us to do one pickup site this first year, and that's why we chose Inwood. But we are very interested in expanding to Washington Heights, and if there's interest among people who would pick up in Washington Heights and are willing to volunteer to help staff a distribution site in sort of a rotating basis, we'd be open to exploring that as well.
I don't know if it still exists, but I think there was a CSA in Inwood previously.
There is.
And maybe,
Isham Park.
and in Isham Park, yeah.
Yes.
And maybe also one in Washington Heights.
So the Inwood CSA is run by Chris Whitney right now, Friends of Inwood Hill Park. And they actually are an interesting group because they go out looking for a farm. You know, we're a farm offering a CSA, but they actually contract with farms to just supply the CSA. And the reason we aren't supplying their CSA this year is because they're a little bigger than we can manage. But we're interested in talking more about whether we can supply part or all of their veggies in the future, because it's a natural marriage. And yeah, Washington Heights, there's another farm. I can't remember. It's called Windflower Farm, I think. And they have a pickup site at OSA on Bennett Avenue.
Yeah. And then would it make sense for you to also have linkages with the senior centers? Would they be possible customers for you?
That would be a great idea. I hadn't thought about that. But the senior centers is a really good idea. I knew that was a reason.
Julio,
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hey, good to see you.
So in terms of shares, how many shares are you able to accommodate, for, you know, sort of this coming,
Yeah.
growing season? And then the other thing I was gonna say is, you know, we have, you know, our program chart,
Yes.
but we also have a youth market
Okay.
that this will be something I think, you know, this will be phenomenal to be able to connect as well.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but how many shares are you able to?
So we're growing the equivalent of about 40 to 45 full shares. So we offer full and half. So we anticipate serving probably about 55 or 60 families this first year. And then we'll hope to go about double that next year.
So like Julio said, sorry.
It's the same thing, it's an extension. Steve.
Sorry.
It's an extension.
I'm sorry, no, I'm
May
sorry,
I?
this is not acceptable. Go ahead.
I'm learning.
Yeah, okay.
So like Julio said, under CHOP, there's NYP youth-led vegetable markets. And one of them is actually right outside our 21 Audubon clinic. And the other one is outside the Dykeman Clinic up in Inwood. So we could definitely
Yes.
connect you with our community nutrition specialist, which is Cal Murray, who runs those youth-led markets.
Okay.
Currently, they're also focusing on an expansion in Westchester and Lower Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
Just so you know.
Okay.
And where do they
Cool.
get their vegetables from?
Maybe, I want to say grow.
Grow. It's probably Grow.
Well,
Oh, growing, was it?
Yeah.
Well,
They have a great program. They do a lot of great aggregating. My spouse is actually in the Farm Beginnings program with Grow NYC right now. Her graduation is Saturday. I'm so proud. But yeah, Grow does great work. And if there were interest in connecting with specific farmers and we weren't able to provide capacity, we could hook you up because we have a pretty extensive network of farmers now in the Hudson Valley.
But your program run only 8 weeks in the
Six.
summer,
6 weeks in the summer, correct?
Okay.
and that's it for the entire year, right?
Yeah, but I mean, whatever it shares, would be.
Yeah.
Easily accommodated through our.
So the question is, are you looking to expand?
Right, that's.
Okay.
We were asked.
Not only that, but I think it's a matter of also supporting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'd
And
like to buy shares of the ground level.
yeah, get in while you can.
So,
Yeah.
so when you say you have 40 to 45 full shares, that would support, because there'll be half shares. So yeah, that's, okay.
That's how we get to about 55.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah, okay.
Because some people, and that's why we offer the half share. The half share is exactly what it sounds like. It's about half the amount of vegetables, and it's appropriate if you don't eat a lot of vegetables, but you still want to, with the vegetables you do eat, to be like, whatever you value, local, organic, grown by people you know, whatever. So it's for smaller households as well.
So I'm sorry, did you call them, do you call them shareholders? What do you,
Members.
members? Okay, so
CSA members, yeah.
CSA members. So they would be able to order in advance the vegetables that they pick up?
They wouldn't be able to reserve the vegetables in advance, but we're gonna make sure we have enough inventory so that even people who come at the later end of the pickup window can still get a decent selection.
So they select the items when they
When they're
get,
there.
when they get to the drop-off point?
Yes,
Really?
and that's actually also like, we want people to spend time. We're not into like quick, convenient, easy, on the go. Like, we want people to form a community here, like, or to build on the existing forms of community. Like, ultimately, this is a food justice and community organizing project. So the kinds of conversations that we hope will happen in these lines to look and see what produce there is, like, let's say one of my tenant organizer friends who just signed up for a share yesterday, Paloma, let's say that Paloma's in line and someone else is in line talking about this leak in their apartment. Paloma can overhear that conversation and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, have you called 311? And they can strike up a conversation about how to improve that person's living conditions together. And maybe they have called 311 and it hasn't fixed anything. Maybe it's time to form a tenant association. And so these kinds of conversations and resources that we can share together, the distribution site becomes a space for that to happen.
Okay,
And that's
but-
what's
okay.
really exciting.
Okay, but let's go back to the produce.
It's not happening.
So if I buy a share.
Yeah.
And I go to the drop-off point,
Mhm.
am I entitled to a certain amount of produce, 10 pounds? How does that work?
So that's where the free choice model comes in.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, you get probably 6 to 8 items.
Oh,
And an
items, okay.
item will be
Okay, item,
2 heads of lettuce.
okay, all right,
A bunch of carrots, 2 kohlrabi, for instance,
Okay.
a bunch of kale,
all right,
a bag of salad.
all right. So it's a certain number of items,
Yes.
and each item is, there's a prescribed amount of
Of
how many items. I see.
And that allows us to say, like, in
Yeah.
the beginning of the season, one item is probably gonna be 1 tomato.
Okay, all right.
But then when we get into the,
They-
really height of the season,
Okay.
like August, September, tomatoes are popping off,
All right,
we can say an item is 2 tomatoes.
that'd be a big tomato.
I mean,
Or
did you
small
see the
two
photo?
tomatoes.
Yeah, those are too small.
This tomato here on the right is
Oh,
like
oh, the one
the
on the right.
size of,
Okay.
like, it's like my 2 fists.
Wow.
It's massive.
Can you really grow watermelons?
Yes,
Really?
that's a blacktail mountain watermelon. It's a variety that was developed in Idaho.
Oh.
So it's specifically well adapted to more cool climates,
Really?
but we don't really have one of those anymore. We have a very warm climate.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Um,
And it tastes just as sweet?
Yes,
Really?
it's very sweet. Well, it depends on the rainfall.
Okay.
Watermelons get less sweet if they have more access to rain.
Oh,
If you make melons work for it, they're
Right.
much sweeter.
Oh.
Because they have less, the sugar gets less diluted. Yeah.
who would ever know that? You really got it involved with this. Yeah, Jody.
Just a quick question. First, I think it's amazing. I think what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
Just one thought. Is there a benefit to arriving early and a disadvantage to arriving?
We're gonna have to work that out. I
Okay, So
think,
you're thinking about it?
yes, oh, very much.
Okay.
Because not everybody can come at 3:30.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
some people, 3:30 will make a lot of sense because
Right.
it's right after they pick up their kids from school or what have you. But for some people who
Right.
work downtown, maybe, they won't get home until 6 or 6:30. And
Alright.
so
Oh, God.
we're thinking a lot about how we can put
Right.
both like hard limits and also like leave some of that for somebody else.
Alright.
That kind
Maybe
of,
even reserve some back, right?
maybe
At
have a
different-
crate under the
you know,
table
yeah.
of extra
That
carrots.
is
Oh, well, please, we don't want to hear about anything under the table.
Right, thank you.
Let's not talk about that at an open meeting. All right, well, this sounds very interesting. Well, would love to hear how it all works out.
Yes, of course.
So when do you think you'll be really in operation?
Our first drop date is gonna be May 23rd.
May 23rd.
I know I'm really pushing the season there. Everybody's like, you should wait till June. I'm like, no, we're gonna go for it. I wanna get that first drop before Memorial Day. I want it to happen. That's why I'm planting the lettuce today. I was like, hopefully it'll happen.
All right, well, I hope I hope you make an event out of this. I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
you know,
For sure.
it's almost like a ribbon cutting or something.
Yes.
Do you volunteers, maybe Steve would like to come to the front?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
We will have community work days as well.
Well, listen, the truth of the matter is, I'm familiar with that area because I did go to summer camp in Beacon. I did,
Okay.
we did hike up Mount Beacon.
Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Wow,
So, I'm not, that's not foreign territory to me.
no,
Okay.
that'd be great for you.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Community work days, Chris?
We are gonna have community work days.
What are those?
They're gonna be once a month. We haven't determined the dates yet, but we're gonna do that in the
No,
next.
what are those?
Oh, people come up to the farm and we have a tour. We walk them through the land and we do a little bit of work on the farm. If it's a big project, we'll all work on it together. Harvesting, planting, weeding,
Any,
rock picking.
any, future, planning for fruit trees?
Not on leased land.
Hmm.
Once we get land that we own, yes. But on leased land, it doesn't make a lot of sense to invest in perennials because who knows if you're still gonna be there in 2 years
Yeah.
when the
Okay.
fruits start actually, when the trees start bearing fruit.
Okay,
All right.
Same with berry
Good
bushes.
point.
All right. All right. Well, this, well,
Okay.
we're certainly going to want to hear more about it as it,
Absolutely.
as
Maybe I'll
as
come back in November and let you know how it went.
very good. And bring us a sample of the watermelon.
Of course.
Okay.
no, buy a share.
Oh, okay. All right, very good. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you all so much.
Thank,
Okay, this meeting is running late, so we need to move the agenda. Next up, of course, is Pauline Ferranti, if and she's still with us. She is so good. So let me give the latest statistics on COVID-19 for our community. Our hospitalization rates for the 28-day period between January the 19th and February the 15th. We didn't do all that well. In fact, my zip code 32, ranked number 28 among New York City's 177 zip codes. We had a hospitalization rate of 33.3 per 100,000 people. Zip code 40 had a rate of 27.3, ranked as number 57. Zip code 34 had a rate of 23.7, ranked as number 71. And the zip code 33, a rate of 22.2, ranked as number 78. So the total number of cases, 72,186 since the beginning of the pandemic. That's an increase of 408 since the last time we met. And 3 additional people died in this last month. So we now have 1,032 people who have passed away as a result of COVID-19 in our community. So with that report, let me now pass the baton to Pauline Ferranti, our borough liaison with the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. Pauline.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Can I share my screen also?
Oh, well, why not? Everybody else is doing it tonight.
I know, I
Well,
don't mean to keep you very long, but I
No,
did want to-
you're certainly entitled.
So Steve sent me an inquiry about flu data, and
Yes.
I reached out to our communicable diseases team, but I didn't hear back. However, neglect leads to resourcefulness, so I looked on our own website, And I wanted to show you guys that we actually have a lot of great information on influenza in our
Well, let me give this a
on
little
our
bit.
website.
But Paulina, the reason I asked you to get us some data on the flu is because I read an article that said that the New York State Health Department had reported that the flu has been rampant in the city and beyond for more than 3 months this season, compared with last year, and that in fact in New York State, 11 children have died from the illness since the start of the season. So it appears as though we've been suffering. The flu has been hitting us much harder this year than at least in the last year. So I was wondering where things stood as a whole in the city.
Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna show, so this is our landing page when you get onto nyc.gov/health. If you type flu into the search bar, it'll bring you to information on seasonal flu. But here we have really great information on the week. So we have weekly influenza surveillance information, and it actually goes back um, for quite a few weeks. So it's really helpful for us. So we start tracking flu in October, and this is all the information for this season. And so if you click on the most latest data, which is week ending February 24th, you will see everything you need to know about the flu in New York City. So it looks as though the yellow line was last year, and the red line is this year. So in New York City, it looks like last year was a little bit worse in terms of the height of flu season in December. But we sort of have more of a sustained situation this year. I'm not like a total expert in like data and graph reading, but from what I see in this chart, it does look like we have a more sustained period, whereas last year there was a peak, but then a steady drop. So that's maybe what we're seeing in the state as well. But that could be completely different because different regions might have, different numbers. But also there is information about the total number of deaths for pediatric deaths. So not including folks who are older, but for pediatric deaths, season to date, a total of 5 influenza-associated pediatric deaths have been reported. So we have really great information on our website that I went looking for because no one responded to my email today, but that's okay because we can all find
Yeah.
new information together.
Okay.
So here is all of the other information that you might be interested in reading about. You break down the different types of respiratory illness. And then there's also RSV information as well, because I know that that was something that was important to the community
Right.
board also. So this can all be found on our website. I did show you how to get there. And so if you have any specific questions, please let me know, and I will be more than happy to get you the responses from the experts. But this is just a helpful graph or summary of data that you can look at in your free time if you're interested.
All right, but it does seem to show that at this point during the year, the flu is more serious than it was last year.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Significantly more serious than last year.
Right. It just shows that there's a more sustained reporting of flu than last year. There was a real significant drop in flu cases last year after the peak, whereas now we're seeing that it's not really going away. But similar things happened in previous years, although of course the peak was not as high. So, I mean, this is all good information to just see what the trends are in the city. And of course, we encourage everyone to stay home if you're not feeling well and do all of those things to keep you and others around you healthy this season.
And if you didn't get a flu shot yet, is it still useful to do so?
I mean, we encourage it, but yes, I would say yes. Because it's never too late, but the season is, I guess it will end by May. That's sort of where the drop off is in terms of our data collection. But you know, it never hurts to just keep yourself safe and to prevent a hospital visit. So I would always encourage people to get a vaccine if they haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, well, we definitely want to prevent hospital visits.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, anything else you can tell us about COVID?
Nothing major on our end with regards to COVID. So if you have any specific questions, I'm always happy to get the answers for you.
All right, any questions? Nope. All right.
Thank you.
Oh, one second. Cheryl Miller, one of our loyal attendees, has a question. She wants to know what you've heard about, oh, shoot.
It was a norovirus.
Oh, yes, thank you. Norovirus.
Oh, norovirus. I have not heard anything like specifically, so I will definitely ask our team about norovirus and report back.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, that brings us to Sandra Harris, who is not here, even though she told me she would be coming. And Julio, you have even more stuff to report to us on?
Yeah, let me just, just say, in terms of the influenza, I know you've asked also from data, so I
Yes.
try to reach out to our departments about it. I didn't get into the information either, other than to say that it peaked really in December, and it was gradually coming down, but it still remains higher than normal. So that's what's their response. In terms of the COVID numbers, I think my numbers are a little bit more optimistic than the one you shared.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The numbers you shared.
Right.
So in around January, around this time in January, we had about 400 COVID cases system-wide. Currently, we have 140 cases system-wide. So it's quite a drop from what we had a few months ago. Of that, we had 33 patients at the Milstein, which is down here, 3 patients at the Allen Hospital, and 1 patient at the Morgantown Children's Hospital. Of all these patients, we have only 6, fortunately, and unfortunately for them, we had 6 patients who were in the ICU, and that's at the Milstein Hospital. So it's quite a drop, very different than where we were basically a month ago, or 2 months ago.
And I'm sorry, is the 33 at the Milstein, does that include the 6 in the ICU?
Yeah, correct.
Oh,
Mhm. Yeah. So I just also want to add or bring something to I guess the other members of the committee, which may not be aware of this. So the last few days, last week, we have seen a lot of traffic on Fort Washington Avenue. I don't know why we're getting more of that, but I want to say that the hospital has worked with the police department. We've hired 2 traffic agents that will work Monday through Friday, 7 to 7 p.m. To help manage traffic on Fort Washington Avenue. The security department is in the process of creating a position that will work with our parking vendors, which is SB Parking, to help manage really the driveway as well at Milstein. And then what some of you may not know or may be aware is that what we call the Eye Institute at 165th and Fort Washington Avenue will be coming down. So that building is going to be demolished. A new Cancer Plus building, because some services that are at the Institute will be coming back once it's constructed. And as that work takes place in terms of demolition, in terms of construction, the construction folks will add supplemental support to ensure that traffic, does not bottleneck. So that would be additional support. I mentioned to Steve, and I think we an agreement that we will have someone from our facilities team, one of our senior vice president of facilities, to come before the committee, at the April meeting and give you an overview of what the intention of what this new building will look like, and sort of the schedule, of sort of demolition and construction, so that we'll be aware of what goes on. And the idea is really to bring together, all cancer services of the one group, instead of having patients here go there. It just makes it more easier for them to.
So what's gonna happen to the eye center?
So that building, most of it, I believe now has all been decanted. So they're in different places within the campus. Once the building is built, then those services, the eye part of it will return back to that building once it's done.
So there's nothing going on right now in the Eye Institute.
No, but this one,
It's been emptied out.
yeah, I think most of it is empty out already. Yeah. I mean, the work that's taking place now is really the rehabbing, because everything is connected underneath. So we have tunnels that connect buildings, and that's used to transport supplies and so forth. But I think the idea is to upgrade that so that you can also transport patients as well. So that's the sort of construction that's taking place currently.
But there's some kind of construction going on 165th Street next door to the Eye
Right,
Institute.
because one of the things that's gonna happen is, right, the Institute, and then next to it was called the service building.
Yeah.
Where all the supplies come in,
Yeah.
you had IT services, you had training for nurses. So they're gonna be now connecting the top part of that building into the new, into the children's hospital. And there'll be some additional OR and, in the clinical space. So that's part of the overall project, and when, Joe
So
comes in,
the service building is being connected to the Children's Hospital?
right.
And
Uh-oh.
you're adding floors to it?
I'm not sure they're adding,
Oh.
they may be adding a floor to it,
Oh,
because I think it's gonna include additional OR, and some additional space, for.
How tall is the building now?
it's not that,
I'm sorry?
it's not that tall at all.
What is
Oh,
it?
no, it's 6 floors.
Okay, so you say, it's gonna be 8-ish?
They're probably, yeah, probably 7 or 8, yeah, they're gonna add another floor to it, yeah. So, along those same lines, I know you also, Steve asked about, the Allen Hospital maternity. There is a multi-million-dollar project that's scheduled to start at the Allen Hospital, in the beginning of 2025 as well. So the first part would be the, restoration of the psych unit, and the other will be the redoing of the, maternity.
Is that including, rehiring the midwives? Thank you.
Yeah, well, the midwives, to my understanding, the midwives already, I'm not sure all of them has transitioned over to different roles within the hospital. But that, I believe 3 of them already have done that. And, new midwives have been contracted along with a nurse practitioner, at that unit.
Well, what you wrote to me earlier was that, four new midwives have been hired along with a nurse practitioner. Is there an intention to hire at least 7 as existed in the past?
It will complement what was there before, correct? I don't think it was 6.
Six
midwives
midwives and a nurse,
And
and a nurse practitioner,
right.
yeah.
Mhm.
I really have to say that it just sounds ridiculous to me that, you already have the staff and now you are hiring new staff, and the older staff is either gonna stay or not gonna stay and move elsewhere. And it's like, so what's the point of?
But I also think that part of the changes is also,
I hate to say
it's-
it.
what I'm saying is a part of it is really also to enable the nurse practitioners to be able to utilize their certification to its fullest. Meaning that they will now be able to help in the delivery or delivery of babies, which is not something that was done prior to Columbia taking over the program.
But you had a 30 years old experience, and like some of them had like 20 or 30 years old experience. Surely getting them into the, operating room for delivery or not operating room, that would be easier because they have so much experience.
Well, I thought they told us that many of them had done that in the past, and
There you go.
and at some point it was that practice was ended. They were told to no longer do that work.
I couldn't speak to that, whether, why the policy was changed. The fact is that under their current certification, they were not delivering babies at the hospital. Coming under Columbia, that is something that the practitioner, the midwives will be able to do.
Yeah, but I agree. I agree with OC. I don't see how this. I don't
Well,
know.
but
I
that-
just don't
but again,
understand
I
this
mean,
whole
that-
rationale. Because
The nurse practitioners over there, I understand the mindset of, I'm with 1199 or I'm with the nurses union. And one of them, as I mentioned, Steve, said, I'm here because when I took this position, I have all these benefits. Right?
Yeah, there's
And-
nothing wrong with that.
No, I understand. So so in other words, I mean, if the positions that were available, they were open for everybody to come in and apply for, even the midwives over there. I understand the benefits that will come under the union that would not be attached to it. And I'm not sure whether there were ways to be able to mitigate these things in terms of, you're not getting this benefit, you're gonna get this. I'm not sure how those things work. But that didn't preclude anybody that was in the position to transition over to the new role at Columbia.
Right, but we both know that they didn't have to do all of that if they were already there in a position that you're now hiring somebody new or other, not just one, new nurses to do just the same thing. So it doesn't look good.
I agree. It just doesn't make sense.
doesn't look
And,
good.
and it doesn't look good when you have people who have been employed and have been working for the hospital
Right.
for as many as 35, 37 years, and presumably doing a good job. And suddenly they get a letter, which is a very perfunctory letter that just tells them your job is being eliminated as of February or something. And then
Well,
and,
I guess the board have made the
I-
position clear on that. I mean, I know that resolution was voted on,
Yeah.
it was sent to the CEO, so.
yeah, like,
Yeah, the CEO had to be put in that position and see what he would say.
yeah.
It's the same thing. We all smart when we know it's not related to us, when we are not the one that are having like fewer benefits in our jobs. And it's really, it's terrible. It's terrible.
I know,
Yeah.
but let me just say, I mean, you, as a healthcare institution, I think that sometimes you have to make decisions that benefit both the community and also benefit the hospital to ensure that those services continue unabated. It may not be the transition that everybody wants, but we don't want a situation where, certain hospital in Lower Manhattan it's not providing more services because they didn't make those right decisions, or the hospital that's could go under in Long Island because they didn't make those right decisions, and that's like,
I
might not have a
I
hospital.
don't think you can blame 7 nurses.
No.
7 nurses and so,
absolutely.
let's take the funds coming out of the president of the hospital or the board of the hospital or the CEO and other high up there that's sitting at a desk taking decision, but their paycheck is, continue on. And they have the benefits those nurses now don't have. And we're not talking about rich people that can afford not to have certain benefits. That's where it's painful. And I mean, anyone else? I mean, it's really, it's not right. It's beyond just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And I don't want to I don't want us to compromise because some hospital downtown doing it differently. you know what, with all the respect to downtown hospital, this is downtown. We care about Washington Heights.
Absolutely, and so.
Well, the thing is, I don't-
The hospital cares very much about our patients and making sure that we deliver first-class care to all of our patients. Now, we have a very high percentage of Medicaid patients. Now, when you visit a doctor, Medicaid patients visit a doctor, they don't get enough, they don't get compensated enough to continue to provide their service. If it was just that, they'll be out of business. And that's what's happening. That's happened to Long Island, that hospital. I'm not saying that you compromise, but I think you have to make the smart decisions to ensure that those services are continue to be provided on a high quality level.
So the CEO could have taken a paycheck, a check cut, and fund those 7 nurses
Well-
that, to continue to have the benefits that they had until now. It wouldn't be a big deal.
Well,
Seriously.
as much as I approve the idea of his taking a pay cut, I don't think it would even be necessary, because I think the hospital is in very good financial condition. This is not, this is not gonna make or break the hospital, whether or not it keeps these, 7 employees. And it's,
But again, I
yeah.
think, but the understand is that no one is losing their job. No one is gonna lose their paycheck.
well,
That's not
They're
gonna
losing
happen.
benefits.
well, at this point, it's a little unclear, because all we know at the moment is that 3 of them agreed to take other jobs, and then the union was able to negotiate with the hospital so that none of them evidently are taking pay cuts, and they're all being kept at their previous salary
Right,
levels.
Benefits, right?
Well, no, they're still
Benefits.
members of the union. I guess they still get their pension and health benefits,
Right.
but it's still, the whole thing doesn't make any sense. And I just don't understand why it was necessary to make this change, especially because, as far as I know, many of these midwives were already capable of doing and
Right.
assisting with deliveries. So I don't understand. I don't understand how the hospital came to make this decision. But
I wonder which unit is next.
yeah, well, okay. All right, thank you. Anything else?
Because they will be next.
Yeah, well,
You know that they will be next.
I don't know. There always, there always seems to be something. Okay, thank you, Julio. Next, we have Diane Ashley, Director of Marketing and Communications for MJHS, representing the Isabella Geriatric Center.
Good evening, everyone. Let's see, Isabella has 10 residents who are positive for COVID. And they're largely asymptomatic and isolated as appropriate. We have 45% of our residents have received the Comirnaty vaccine. Only 1 hospitalization during the month of February, and that patient has recovered. And you asked about flu. It came to us late in February. We didn't have any influenza in January. We've had a total of 21 cases since February 22nd. It's a little hard to address it's a little hard to address the bump, because there is a bump, but the bump is sort of all of it coming through, right? So and 67% of our residents have had the flu vaccine. I just pulled that data.
What was that percentage?
67% accepted the flu vaccine.
Oh.
Is it not low percentage of vaccination?
Yeah, you were doing better.
We offer it to everybody, but we are not, it's where people live. We are not allowed to mandate it. So anybody who can speak for themselves and advocate for themselves, we ask them. If not, we have to get permission from their designated representative or family member. We encourage everybody to allow us to vaccinate their loved one for their protection. After that, with education and with encouragement and with social work, talking to them, that's the number that we're at, but certainly we'd love for it to be higher, OC.
But the 21 cases, they haven't had to be hospitalized. You've been taking care of them at,
Yeah, everybody, it appears everybody has been taken care of. There was only one hospitalization in February. Nobody linked it to influenza. And we didn't start getting cases of flu until really that last week of the month.
wow. That's,
So,
well,
but
that
I
seems,
was
that's a
none in
little,
January is what I was told.
only one in January.
None,
Oh, not in January, yeah.
none in January.
Okay. Anything else, for us, Diane?
Nope. Not tonight.
All right. You think you might be interested in buying some vegetables from, Chris Nichols' farm?
You're in very good humor tonight, Steve.
Yeah, you should have seen me last night. Okay, all right, thank you, Diane.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so, under old business, there are no, new street sidewalk cleanliness ratings, posted on the city's website.
Mhm.
I did not get, the monthly report from DP. I do have, recycling statistics for, December of 2023. We seem to have, inched up a little. Our diversion rate was 16.5%. I believe in November it was around 15 something. And this diversion rate was 0.2% better than December of 2023. And we're slightly behind the board 9, ahead of boards 3, 10, and 11, and behind every other board in Manhattan. But we're so among the 12 boards, I guess we were at number
Well,
9, no?
oh,
So three boards are behind us. 10, 11, and 12. All right. Is any other old business?
yes,
Yes. Oh, yes. You have old business? Yes. Let's hear your old business, Elsie. Something about neutered animals?
no,
No. Don't you want to tell us something about neutered animals?
no,
No?
we will talk about it next month,
Oh, next month. Okay.
right?
And is that a definite?
Yes,
Okay.
okay, there is another old business, my always kind of old business.
Something about old clothing?
Oh, right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Any update about,
No, nothing. No. Okay.
oh, well, it's not a new business, it's actually, oh, well, maybe it is.
But this-
An
no,
announcement, I'm
we're-
sorry, I have announced, an
Well, we're
announcement.
not up to announcements.
I'm just saying,
Okay,
okay,
fine, okay.
yeah, okay,
We're still on old business. Are you finished with your old business?
I believe so.
Okay, very good. Mr. Batista, did you have old business?
No,
I'm sorry.
did you skip new business?
No.
We didn't get there yet.
No, you gotta be patient. Gotta be very patient. We're now up to new business.
So just a quick question to the committee.
Yeah, this is item of new business.
Item new business,
Okay.
yes. The new recycling, I guess, format that the city has implemented in Board 9. Is that coming to Board 12 and when?
Well, are you referring to the containerization of garbage?
Containerization, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, that's not just recycling, that's all garbage.
Oh, but all garbage, yes,
Yeah, so,
all garbage.
I don't think we know at this point. I mean, I think the intent is that it's eventually gonna go citywide. But
Yes.
right now,
It's coming, I think, in October or something.
no, I didn't hear that. Or is that right? I don't know.
And the problem that we have, and I start taking photos and you will be upset, is that we know that those containers can grow legs, right? So people are chaining those containers to street trees. That's the problem. Yes.
Yeah.
I took a photo of one, not in our neighborhood. We took it in a Upper East Side, no less. So,
Well, get that for me.
Chains?
yes, I'm sorry.
They put chains on them?
They chain the containers
To the
to the
trees, so that no one
street
takes them.
trees.
Yeah, so that people won't steal them.
Oh, but these are different than the Board 9 then.
Well, you're referring to maybe things outside stores?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Board 9, they have these, very large bins, I guess.
Well,
Out-
they have these metal sheds first.
Yeah,
I mean, they have these large plastic bins. Which would.
out in the street,
Right, so they'll take like,
Oh, what street is it on?
they're
all over the
Board
place
9.
now.
They're all
Oh.
within Board 9.
Oh, it's
First of all,
terrible.
they'll take up like two,
Parking
three
spot.
parking spots, which is gonna be hard up here, but. So then they have these large containers that serve 2 or 3 buildings at a time. And people just on a daily, every night, they throw it in, garbage comes and picks it up, up. And in some cases, they actually will put a container, a steel container,
Mhm.
make it look nicer. Yes. But the problem with that is that they don't last very long because cars have banked into them. So they leave it open. But these are large units that
Yeah.
accommodate several buildings, not just one.
And you need special trucks, specially equipped
Right.
trucks to lift them up and then,
Yeah.
to tilt them so that they're dumping the garbage into the top of the
Yeah.
truck.
I can't see the traffic that will cause in a one-way street when you cannot.
It's all important, all around Board 9.
Yeah. Yeah, Board 9 is right now the citywide pilot, to see how this works.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Any other new business? We're up to announcements.
Right, and I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, composting. The composting in the farmer's market because of, city budget cuts. The composting is now closing shop at, 11:30 AM on Saturdays. It was until noon, up until now, but as of last weekend, they are folding shop at 11:30.
And that's,
And-
and that's
and
because
they-
of a budget cut?
Yes, because they have to drive to Staten Island with the material to collect.
Well,
They have to drive further away from where they normally would. And so this is why they are, closing at like 11:30 in the morning. And I did speak to them and I asked them how many pound of material they collect on a weekend. And it's anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 pounds. No.
at the one farmer's market?
Yes, at least I asked the one on Isham and Seaman Avenue. And this is what they collect in like 5 hours, which is amazing. So what we are saying here is that this is a really successful program. And so I think, in my view, that at some point, maybe we want to invite somebody to talk to us about this program and maybe produce a resolution asking the city to reinstate the budget for that program.
Well, we did have a woman, who, does outreach for the composting program for the city.
Correct,
Come and speak to us sometime last year, maybe.
correct,
um,
you're right,
and-
and,
And but if we're gonna do something about the budget, we need to do it, we need to do it at the next meeting, maybe. Or certainly no later than May.
I don't have the person's name. Christine?
I don't remember right now. No, it wasn't Christine.
Okay,
But-
I'm sure I have it somewhere,
Yeah.
but in any event, I think it's something that we should look into because I mean, people will go back to dumping in the trash
Yeah,
and we're trying to avoid that.
right,
So not just us,
Good
the
idea.
city, the initiative is to
right.
move towards composting and recycling
Okay.
more than trash. So
Right.
that's
Okay.
my answer.
Well, that's not an announcement, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, my
That's
answer
an
was
answer.
about the,
I'm moving it up to new business.
okay.
I know you guys want to leave, but just one other thing.
One other thing,
Announcement.
is this an announcement?
Yeah.
Because I'm not-
Is that
I'm
a
not-
real announcement?
not-
Because it just canceled mine.
Oh.
I'm not,
So on Saturday, we were scheduled to have a mental health first aid at PS4.
yeah,
We had a very successful CPR training with Project Columbia at the Michael Busick. We had over 200 people there. So we wanted to do a follow-up with mental health first aid. Unfortunately, that's gonna be postponed because we got like like 7 people registered. And we had 6 different providers that were gonna teach, who present. So we're gonna move this to May 4th, at PS4, and trying to find ways that we can try to get the word out to the community to come to these, first aid training events.
So PS4 is the one on 160th Street?
Once it's you got it, I think.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So, I know we send the, notice to the board. I think the board may have sent it out, but, it was,
Well, then we have to send out a follow-up notice.
Yeah.
All right, so it's May 4th. What day of the week is that?
it's on Saturday. It's keeping it on Saturday.
You're gonna make sure the flyer has the day of the week on it?
May
Yeah.
4th is a Thursday.
Thursday.
I'm
Thursday.
sorry. No, scratch what I said. I'm sorry. It's a Sunday,
Sunday?
Sunday.
May 4th.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
Saturday.
okay.
Okay.
Excuse everyone. May 4th is Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. And well, do you know what the time will be?
Let me see, I'll tell you. In a second, I'll tell you the time.
These are 4 attendees. What are 4 attendees? Staying strong.
And one of them is this.
Right.
One of them is,
Is this a
What-
training where you get the certification in mental health first aid?
We should have known that.
one of them is Carmen. Is you?
No, that's it. It's us.
Okay,
That is me. Yeah, like that.
So 10 to 12.
10 to 12.
Yeah,
Okay.
10 a.m. to 12 noon.
All right, so you'll get us a revised flyer.
Absolutely.
Well, we should send out a flyer now. If we already sent one out,
Oh, yeah,
we have to send out another one
Yeah,
telling,
from
giving people the new
postpone.
date. Postpone. Okay, very good. All right, there are no other announcements, I believe.
Motion to adjourn.
And we're gonna move to adjourn this meeting at 9:26 PM. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl, Miguel, and Norma for sticking it out. And we'll be back here next month. We're gonna have 2 presentations, one on the Cancer Plus building and another one on spay and neuter.
Spay neuter clinic in our district.
Okay, very good.
We want it.
And then we're gonna have somebody from the ASPCA.
From ACC confirmed, ASPCA didn't confirm yet.
Okay.
I'm trying to get the Toby project and positive tales.
Positive tales. Okay, good. We only want to hear positive things. All right, thank you all.
Thank
All right, so,
you.
all right, the meeting has now been adjourned to 9:27.
Thank you.
We just took an extra minute. Okay. All right, thank you all.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night. All right, thank you, Diane.
Bye bye, guys.
No.
Yeah.
Uh,